So, hey, what in the world is up? This is the Zarkman checking in, and I am wearing my Bolt Club shirt. So, I do apologize, wala kasi akong Taker shirt eh. But, this particular video is something special for me because this is my way of saying thank you to one of the greatest people who ever defined my childhood, The Undertaker. So, as described in the intro, so this will be my thank you message to The Undertaker for 30 years of allotting his life to what we love. He loved this business, yes, he loves the passion of wrestling, and more importantly, he loved making people entertained. I don't know kung ilang taon. I don't know how many years you've been a fan of wrestling or what era. If you were part of the 90s or you were part of the Attitude Era, the PG era, or the modern era right now. The Undertaker is a name that has lasted so many people with a career spanning over 30 years. So, uh, as everybody has seen, if you've been watching The Last Ride, uh, AJ Styles is match with the Undertaker, the Boneyard match, is considered as we could consider as the Undertaker's final match. Now, in given the circumstances, the Undertaker delivered in one hell of a match, and if you ask me personally, this is a proper send off for the dead man because it encapsulated a lot of elements from his various characters. You have the Undertaker that we know, the supernatural Phenom who has all these powers, the ability to bring lightning, bring the thunder, kumbaga. And then we also have the American badass who just brings in with his big motorcycle and then he just kicks the crap out of people. And of course, you have Mark Calloway, the man behind the character, a man who we don't really know a lot much, maliban na lang if you see his Instagram pictures or his Twitter profile, then you would understand that there's so little of Mark and there's a lot of Taker that went around, right? So, if you've been watching The Last Ride, which I have been doing so for the past month, you would know that this would be the overall summary of the career of The Undertaker from the time from the start, and then it captured his very, I would say his very, I want to say his very last athletic match. I want to say it like that kasi he had a lot of great matches in WrestleMania. His WrestleMania match with Roman Reigns, it's not necessarily the one you would like to end your career on. Pero we thought we did dahil kasi he just left his ring attire and broke character for the first time in how many years? Maski din si Michelle, yun din ang sinabi niya, di ba? So, yeah, and then we move forward to his surgeries, and then we also get into behind the scenes look on Undertaker's relationship with Vince McMahon. Ewan ko sa inyo dahil kasi ako legit naiyak ako dun sa relationship nila dahil kasi as infuriating, as frustrating as Vince may be because of his unpredictability, I applaud Taker for his loyalty to Vince. I mean, among all people, siya na rin ang nagsabi, compared to people like Hogan, people like the NWO, everybody left for greener pastures and The Undertaker has stayed. Diba? Ganun kasi tayo mga loyal eh, diba? Ganun tayo pagtapat. Tapat kung tapat. Hindi lang kapag katapat. I couldn't help it. Kailangan. Kailangan ko sabihin yun. Yeah. Pero yun, I want to also mention here that, of course, we get into a glimpse of the life of Mark Calloway with Michelle, their lovely daughter. And I have to say that thank God for ride or die wives. Seryoso, if you've also watched yung documentary ni Edge, yung The Second Mountain, he has one hell of a nugget with Beth Phoenix. And the same with Undertaker with Michelle McCool. I would like to advise prior that this will not be a timeline video or a timeline summary of everything that has happened in the Taker's legendary career, but this would be a thank you, and we would go back to my experience of the Undertaker, what made me a fan, and all those beautiful memories that as a child growing up, the first person who stumbled into wrestling. So I want to thank the guy who has given so much of himself, not just for me, but for every fan, every WWE fan who has um, watched him, whether it was Friday night on SmackDown or whether it was every pay per view, so or even every WrestleMania. Taker has been part of our lives. Seryoso. I don't care. I'm making a big claim right now, pero by the looks of it, Undertaker's the Michael Jordan of WWE. I'm gonna take hits. I'm gonna take hits. I'm gonna take hits for this. Pero, fight me. Seryoso ako. He is the Michael Jordan. Yan. So, when I started watching wrestling, Undertaker, or my impression of The Undertaker was, at the time, he was the American Badass. So, I was watching, no, bata pa lang ako noon, and then, nagulat ako, there was somebody who's like a, ano ba to, big biker. Lumabas siya, no, tapos dala niya yung, nag-ride siya sa motor niya, tapos he was being all nasty, being all tough guy about it. As in, siya yung unang experience ko ni Undertaker, and it was scary in itself, believe me. And I believe this was the time of the post-Attitude Era. So, kakatapos lang ng Ministry of Darkness, and Taker had to adopt his persona, or he had to reinvent his persona. Kasi he felt na the supernatural Phenom na naging character niya that time, it was getting stale. Ang galing, no? Dahil kasi, I have to say it, Undertaker is the master of reinventing himself. Knowing when to call the shots on how to level up his character and keeping it relevant through the years. So, uh, one of the things going back, so Undertaker para sa akin was the guy who had this really nasty vibe. He had this whole look na he's gonna beat you up, di ba? Especially with his big bike pagdating niya, riding down the ring and all that. Tapos, at the time kasi I think he was using the choke slam at saka last ride power bomb as his finishing moves. Yeah, it was amazing. Seryoso, ang galing. Yan. And then, one of the things I also associate Undertaker with is him holding the belts. So, siguro everybody has their own opinion on champions. So, sabihin natin na right now in New Japan, you would rarely see Okada without a belt, Tanahashi without a belt at the time. Bihira mo lang din makikita na walang belt ngayon si Charlotte Flair. Pero para sa akin, the guy who had the title as far as I can remember when I was a child, it was Taker. I mean, just look at this. Look at this image. 'Di ba? Parang alam mo 'yun, magla-last siya, magsa-stick siya sa'yo habang buhay eh. Para sa akin as in I always want to see Taker like that. Seryoso. Also, para sa akin, uh, Taker is the guy who I associate the World Heavyweight title with, di ba? Yung big gold belt. Siguro, considering na lang na galing kasi or dala kasi to from WCW, siguro WCW fans would associate it with Goldberg or ano ba, kay Hogan. If you were a fan of the NWO, ganon. Para sa akin, it was Taker eh. Taker is the guy who really carries the big gold belt para sa akin. He was the man, dude. As in, pag nakikita mo siya walking down the aisle, this is fast forwarding na when he went back to the Phenom character. Imagine mo na everything was dark, everything was gloomy, tapos you're walking down the aisle, and the only thing shining sa iyo was your gold belt, man. I'm like, nung una ko siya nakita, I always dreamed of, I always dreamed of becoming a pro wrestler. So, I became one pro eater eh. So, yun. Kaya sa akin, segue lang din the very first time I held the belt, or nagkaroon ako ng belt katulad ng sa Mang Tomas, I was ecstatic, man. I get to do all the wrestling poses then. Yun. So, para sa akin, I'd like to thank Taker for, giving me that lasting impression. And he will always be a champion din para sa akin. One of the things na, as in legit na natakot ako kay Taker was the whole concept of the Buried Alive match. He was a part of some, pero I think one of the, pero ito nalaman ko lang later on, no? Um, Pero the very first one I ever watched was with Kane at Survivor Series ata yun. So, Taker was, I think, healing ata from kind of injury. Ganun. And, or he was given time off. And then, during Survivor Series, parang he had a Buried Alive match with Kane. So, anong nangyari noon? So, if you guys been watching that, Kane won, and then it kind of gave Kane a little bit of a push going into WrestleMania 20. Yeah, WrestleMania 20 nun. And at the time, building up yung WrestleMania match. So, Taker was slowly teased to be getting back. Tapos nung pumasok ulit yung whole Phenom character niya. First time ko lang din maranasan nun yung gong, ni Taker. And this was, para sa akin as a kid, it was one of the scariest things you could ever see or you could ever hear, man. As in, pag biglang may nag-gong na, holy, parang ganun. So, yun, para sa akin, it was one of the very first scariest things na natutunan or nakita ko as a fan. And then, it also speak magnitudes on how invested Taker was as a character and how Kane was in his character din. Dahil kasi sa akin, siguro I'm gonna discuss this a little bit in the later part of this video, pero yung character or yung level of thought na nilagay ni Taker for the character para sa akin is one of the best things na gustuhan ko about him. So, alam mo yung kung kaya niya mag-strike ng fear sa'yo o kaya yung madalas niya sinasabi na if you're in the match with him, that initial gong, parang bigla kang kikilabutan talaga eh. Yeah. So, sa akin, kinikilabutan na ako when I watch it on pay-per-view. Pero sila, yung mga kasama niya sa ring. Yeah. And then going back dun sa WrestleMania 20, so when Taker was being brought out ba anto with goons, gano'n, or may nauna siya mga goons, tapos everybody was carrying torches, na gano'n. And then biglang lalabas na si Taker with the smoke. I'm like, whoa, scary. Very scary stuff. So one of the things that was associated with the Undertaker in his whole career was the streak. So everybody knows that Undertaker was already 21 wins and 0 losses at the time that he faced after Triple H, no, before he faced Brock Lesnar. So to everyone's knowledge now, Lesnar was the very person who broke the streak. So Taker wouldn't admit it, pero kasi at some point he got concussed in the match eh. To the point na when he got concussed, he couldn't answer the 3 count. I think, as in, lumobo yung mata ko nun eh. Dahil kasi, isipin mo na lang yung mga characters na, the people who he's worked with na got massive pushes after, trying to conquer his streak. So, you have people like Randy Orton, you have Edge, you also had Batista, and then you also had CM Punk, and then you also had Bray, you also had HBK, Triple H, Brock Lesnar, the list goes on. And of course, more importantly, John Cena and AJ Styles. Um, isipin mo na lang, no, those names in itself, man, it speaks towards all the stars na pinut over ni Taker, mga main eventers na he helped. So, parang yung booking kasi kay Taker when you get to work with him in WrestleMania is that even though you lose, even though clean you don't look bad. It doesn't hurt your booking. Dahil kasi a lot of them got massive pushes after they lost to The Undertaker. Parang si Taker kasi, if you win their respect, you win WWE or you win over creative. You win over management. Ganun lang yun. And, yun. So, ano mo yung what I felt kasi when going back to Brock, when we went forward no with WrestleMania 30. Nagulat ako as in I never thought it would happen that day. Alam mo yung parang nakakagulat na lang din dahil kasi if you were watching the last ride, si Taker kasi, di ba, yon he got concussed. And then, balita daw na after Taker went to the back kasi, he was sitting at the gorilla position. Tapos Vince tried to siguro hug him as in pagkatapos eh. Dahil kasi Vince is very caring about Taker. You have to understand kung bakit ganun sila when you watch the documentary. You'll understand their relationship. It goes beyond employee and boss. It goes into brotherhood. So, sa akin, yung kwento nila na, kwento ni Michelle actually, na nung dinala si Undertaker sa ambulansya sa New Orleans, sa Louisiana, there was a limo behind them and sinundan siya ni Vince at saka ni Brock. So, Vince, sa kalagitnaan ng biggest show niya of the year, he actually left in order to take care of one of his most loyal soldiers. Alam mo yung... I'm trying to say this right now, pero alam mo yung parang pinapanood ko siya sa last ride. I couldn't help but cry. Dahil kasi bihira lang yung... Bihira lang yung ganun eh. Alam mo yung you would take a bullet for this person and then this person would take care of you kahit na alam mo yung parati nilang iniisip na it's always the business is always first. Taker is this, Taker is loyal to Vince, ganun. Iba pa rin eh, iba pa rin yung level of respect, pero I'll get to that later. Yeah, I have to say it na ganun dahil kasi I'm laying out everything that every talking point that I can before I get to my thank you. Yeah, so pardon me. Ngayon, we also get a glimpse of um, Taker surgeries no after WrestleManias ganun. Yeah. So, one of the things din na pinakita sa last ride was Taker's life after the streak. So, para sa akin, Taker was living the best life eh. As in, he was at the point of his life na he was already enjoying everything he's worked hard for, everything he's worked hard to gain, and sobrang galing para sa akin. Dahil kasi he has amassed a lot of things, sabihin natin from contract, guarantee pays to merchandise selling, tapos royalties, ganon. Bira yung mga katulad ni Taker na makakapag-earn ng ganong kalaking money, millions and millions of dollars using his name, using his character. It speaks to the level of how much he invested in his character and how it paid off. So, it means a lot. It means a lot para sa akin. Dahil kasi, especially now at this point of his career or at this point of his life na he's already in his 50s. So, he's already enjoying kasi most of his time with his family. Of course, with Michelle. Tapos, for his biological family too. So, nalaman din lang namin sa last episode ng The Last Ride na during Taker shooting with AJ Styles no Boneyard match is that the day of the shoot itself, Taker's brother has passed away, no, yung biological brother niya. So, again, my condolences for his loss, and life goes on, life moves forward. So, yeah, it was actually interesting dahil kasi we were brought back to his experiences, no, recovering after every match or recovering after every surgery after every match, ganon. So, it's amazing na yung mga one match a year na ginagawa niya, it actually takes its toll on him dahil kasi sa tagal mo din na you're not taking bumps nga naman daw. It's a very big deal dahil kasi it will measure kasi yung condition mo or shape mo when you're in the ring, which is pretty hard kung sabihin natin na patagal na you're working a lighter schedule. Yeah. Yan. So, fast forwarding to WrestleMania 36. So, if inevitably this would be the last match for Taker, Para sa akin, it would be the perfect match with the perfect competition. Kaya kasi we all know that in this generation, AJ Styles is the best wrestler. I'm going to be taking a lot of hits right now, pero totoo yun eh. Dahil kasi whether if you're a fan of New Japan, no? So, if you're a fan of Okada, who takes a lot of hits, who's been accoladed with so many awards in Japan, if you're a big fan of Kenny Omega, if you're a fan of Seth Rollins, or whoever, no? Para sa akin, the greatest wrestler of this generation, para sa akin, would be AJ Styles. Dahil kasi it speaks volumes with reliability, longevity. Dahil kasi AJ rarely had any injuries eh. Yung last documented lang niya na injury was yung injury niya sa New Japan Cup with Tetsuya Naito. So he was back in New Japan. Hindi, sorry, when he was at the G1, yun. I think it was the finals of the G1 or kung hindi man yung block finals nila, wherein AJ daw injured his back. So, it speaks volumes kasi dahil kasi Taker at this time needed people he could trust with his work. So whether it was the streak, which was his baby, and then people who Vince would trust to take care of Mark when he was there. So, sa akin, kahit pa paano nararamdaman ko pa rin na inalagaan pa rin ni Vince din yung mga tao niya. Or at least yung mga tao na sobrang loyal sa kanya. Dahil kasi, the way he treated these people, parang, it speaks volumes eh. And to consider AJ, di ba, as your last partner or your last opponent ever, kung sakali, it's actually an honor in itself eh. Ako, honestly ako, nung nalaman ko na kalaban ni Taker si AJ, parang ako din skeptical ako eh. Dahil kasi, siguro whether kung ano man yung opinion nyo kay Taker or kung ano man yung opinion nyo sa kanya during his previous matches, no? Uh, it wasn't much of a big deal para sa akin until I started watching the build-up para sa um, para dun sa Boneyard match. So, when they were in Saudi, I think, when they were doing the Saudi show, tapos leading up to WrestleMania, tapos leading up dun sa match itself eh, parang sobrang galing, no? For a cinematic match para sa akin for night 1, maliban lang sa it main evented WrestleMania, it was actually one of Taker's best work in recent memory. So, regardless kung ano man yung opinion niya sa Boneyard match, sa akin, it was really, really good. And it was one hell of a finish for night 1. Yeah. So, how did I felt about that? I felt it as a privilege. Dahil kasi, the privilege of seeing Taker in ending his career with the highest of notes. Wow. Bihira lang. Bihira lang yung nakagawa ng ganun, believe me. To that logic, bihira lang din yung mga tao na nakakapag-end ng career nila in their own terms. That's why, sobrang taas na respeto ko sa kanya. So, we come to this part wherein I give my gratitude, my heartfelt gratitude for the man who has given me one hell of a childhood. So I would like to thank you, Taker. I would like to thank you, Mark Galloway, for so many things that you have given to a lot of people, but personally to me. I would like to thank you for being the very first larger than life character I've ever seen on TV. A person who has given me one hell of a childhood. As in, I'm pretty sure he gets that a lot, pero totoo naman eh. He has done it for a lot of people, including me. And as I grow up, I thank you for teaching me how it meant to become very loyal, to become very hardworking, to be very professional at your craft. Because nobody defined hard work like you did. Nobody defined loyalty like you did. And nobody has given so much to this sport, to this business, to this industry like you did. Believe me, I'm already teared up or dried out na. Kaya kasi, leading up to the final episode of The Last Ride, I was crying my heart out. Kaya kasi, Taker meant so much to people. He meant so much to me. He will always. Yeah. So, Taker, Mark, American Badass, Phenom. Like a soldier, you can now lay your soul sword. You have faced so many wars. Now it's time to ride off to the sunset, and it's finally time to rest in peace. I would like to thank you, Undertaker, for one hell of a career, and we can't wait for the next part of your career. Pretty sure, surefire Hall of Famer next year. Siya yung first ballot kung hindi man siya yung pinaka main attraction. We love you, Taker, and thank you for one hell of a childhood.